Mama had a rule book hidden in the spice rack between the nutmeg and the thyme. Said a soft voice and a hot plate bring man back, keeps him towing the line. So I practiced my silence like a Sunday hymn, starched the collars till they stood up straight, waiting for the sound of boots on the porch trim, thinking patience was the only key to the gate. I was 17 playing house in a costume made of fear, believing love was something you earn by disappearing. But the script didn't fit when the lights went down and the applause never came for the girl in the gown. I'm tearing out the pages, burning the stage, no more walking on eggshells inside of a cage. I'm rewriting the rhythm, I'm changing the sway, finally learning love my way. Then came the boy with the Chevrolet smile, who liked his music loud and his whiskey neat. I cut my hair and I changed my dial just to look good in the passenger seat. I laughed at jokes that stung like salt and apologized for rain I didn't make fall, thinking if he left it would be my fault for not being enough to fill up the hall. I spent 3 years shrinking just to fit in his hand, a temporary tourist in my own promised land. Burning the stage, no more walking on eggshells inside of a cage. I'm rewriting the rhythm, I'm changing the sway, finally learning love my way. Moved to the city where the neon hums, tried to be wild just to kill the tame, danced with strangers to electric drums, but the lonely feeling looked exactly the same. I realized the rebellion was just another mask, another way to ask for permission to be. It shouldn't be a chore, it shouldn't be a task to find a heart that beats in time with me. It wasn't about being good or being bad, it was about the honest voice I never knew I had. So I stopped cooking dinner when I wasn't hungry, I stopped saying yes when I meant no. I let the laundry pile up on a Sunday and watched the real colors of my spirit show. And that's when you walked in, messy and true. You didn't want a maid, you didn't want a prize, you just wanted the person hiding behind the blue. And for the first time I didn't have to compromise. You love the edges that I used to sand down, you love the queen without the heavy crown. Navigate the storm and the gentle breeze without worrying if the sky is gonna fall. You pour the coffee, I read the news. We don't keep score of who gave more today. There's nothing left to prove and nothing left to lose when you throw the ancient map away. It took 1,000 miles of driving wrong to find the melody of my own song. 'Cause the script never fit when the lights went down, and I don't need applause for the girl in the gown. I tore out the pages, I burned down the stage, stepped out of the shadow, broke out of the cage. I found a new rhythm, I found a new sway, I'm finally learning love my way. Daddy had a temper like a summer storm rolling off the plains, shaking the floorboards, rattling the window panes. He'd come home with dust on his collar and fire in his throat, ready to burn down the bridges that kept us afloat. We'd all scatter like mice when the shadow got long, except for the lady in the apron who knew she belonged. Right in the center of the hurricane's eye, watching the thunder with a flat steel sky. She never raised it above a whisper, but it cut through the noise like a diamond on glass. Soft voice, real power, bringing a giant to the grass. She leaned in to listen, oh, you missed the command. The heaviest hammer was the touch of her hand. She didn't need lightning to prove she was strong, just a look and a syllable to say you were wrong. I remember the sheriff standing tall by the front porch gate, talking about taxes and seizing the land from the state. He was shouting his laws, waving papers and making a scene, acting like the king of a castle he'd never seen. She walked out with lemonade and a gaze that could freeze, brought that lawman right down to his trembling knees. Didn't argue the statute, didn't scream at the badge, just asked about his mother in a tone loud as a gnat. She never raised it above a whisper, but it echoed like canyons inside of your chest. Soft voice, real power, putting the ego to rest. You held your breath, waiting for the velvet to drop. She could spin the whole world or command it to stop. She didn't need thunder to shake up the ground, just the terrifying weight of not making a sound. You stripped the paint from the barn and the gray from her hair. She sat in the rocker, a queen in a wicker chair. The boys grew to men and they thought they knew best, puffing their chests out to put her to the test. But one clearing her throat sent the room into silent retreat. Authority woven in the way she just looked at her feet. She taught us that volume is the weapon of the weak and the scared, and the truth is a line that doesn't need to be snared. Now the rocker is empty and the house feels so loud. Everyone's talking to stand out in the crowd. I see people screaming just to say they exist, fighting the fog with a clenched angry fist. I tried it their way, tried to yell at the dark, but all I got was a sore throat and no spark. So I lower the register, I dial back the gain. I find a calm center in the midst of the rain. It's not in the shouting, it's not in the fight, it's the unbreakable conviction of knowing you're door check the weather app before looking out the window. Scared I'd get the rain wrong, scared the wind might blow in the direction I didn't authorize or understand. I kept my compass in everyone else's hand. Ask the bartender if I'm thirsty, ask the ex if I'm pretty. Let the committee inside my head run the whole damn city. I bought a house I hated 'cause a realtor smiled. I was a passenger in my own life for 100,000 miles. But the static is clearing off the radio waves. I'm done walking through the maze of the plans you made. I don't need a second opinion to feel the cold. I don't need a permission slip to be this bold. The jury is dismissed, the verdict is allowed. I trust myself now. Do you remember the Tuesday I cut my hair short? You said it made me look sharp, like a last resort. So I grew it back out until it tangled in the drain, trying to look like the woman you wanted to entertain. I swallowed the questions that tasted like ash, kept the receipts of my anger hidden in the dash. I let you drive the car while I slept in the back, dreaming of a highway that didn't fade to black. Yeah, the static is dying on the radio waves. I'm burning the maps of the shortcuts you say. I don't need a cosigner to buy my own grief. I don't need a preacher to find my belief. The jury is silence, the silence is loud. I trust myself now. Then came the winter, the heater broke down, and you were halfway to Vegas in some other town. I sat in the shivering dark with a wrench in my grip, waiting for the panic to make my heartbeat skip. But my hands didn't shake, and my breath didn't catch. I fixed the leak with a prayer and a kitchen match. It wasn't a miracle, it wasn't a show. It was just me knowing what I didn't know. I know they say intuition is a muscle you have to tear to build it back up in the thin mountain air. I tore it on maybe, and I tore it on please. I tore it on begging you down on my knees. But the scar tissue's thicker than the skin was before. I'm not leaving the key under the mat at the door. If I make a wrong turn, let me hit the dead end. I'd rather be lost than be led by a friend who doesn't know the engine, who doesn't know the road. I'm carrying the weight, but I'm choosing the load. This morning the coffee was bitter and black, and I didn't add sugar just to take it back. I wore the boots that you said were too loud, walking right through the middle of the judgment crowd. There's a ghost in the corner who looks like the old me, asking for directions, asking to flee. I look her in the eye and I tell her sit tight. We aren't asking for validation tonight. The static is gone, it's just music and waves. I'm dancing on top of the doubt that we gave. I don't need a mirror to see who I am. I don't give a damn about the diagram. The jury is gone, I'm the only one proud. I trust myself now. Yeah, I trust myself now. No more questions, just the answer. The road is mine, the mistake is mine. The glory is mine. I trust myself. For 7 years the syllables were heavy as a stone, dropped into a well where the water had gone dry. He used to drag the vowels out until they turned into a groan, a prelude to a battle or a breathless alibi. I got used to flinching when the consonants would hit like gravel thrown against a window pane at night. I wore that title like a jacket that didn't really fit, too tight across the shoulders and restricting all the light. But coming off your tongue, it's like a brand new word, a melody I promise that I haven't ever heard. It floats above the table like a feather in the smoke, rewriting every promise that the last one ever broke. I don't look for cover, I don't check the exit sign when you're the one who's calling out this identity of mine. Yeah, my name sounds different tonight. We're sitting on the tailgate watching satellites go by. The static in my head is finally tuning to a song. I spent a decade waiting for the thunder in the sky, apologizing for existing before I'd done it wrong. He made it sound like an accusation, sharp and cold as steel, a summons to the kitchen get the letters back, trying to wash the ink off of my hands in a motel sink. I thought that I was damaged goods, a train jumped off the track. Too scared to tell a stranger what I really start to think, but you just asked me if I wanted coffee or some tea, and you used it at the end of the sentence, soft and low. No punctuation mark of anger, no hidden degree, just a sound that means you see me and you wanna let me know. It's strange how sound waves rearrange the air inside a room. I'm bracing for an impact that isn't gonna come. I'm sweeping up the shadows with a brand new yellow broom, marching to the rhythm of a very different drum. Say it again, I wanna catch it like a firefly in a jar. Say it again while we are leaning on the door of your car. I'm reclaiming every letter, I'm taking back the sound. I'm standing with my boots on, solid, steady ground. Crickets in the tall grass are the only noise around, besides the quiet rhythm of your breathing in the wind. I never knew that freedom was a quiet kind of sound, or that kindness was the place where a love should begin. You whisper it to wake me when the sunrise starts to creep, and I don't wake up startled, heart pounding in my chest. I finally found a peaceful place to lay it down to sleep, a safe and soft pronunciation where my spirit rests. Yeah, coming off your tongue is the sweetest distinct word, the finest piece of music that this heart has ever heard. It rises like a prayer through the barbecue smoke, healing every fracture that the silence ever broke. I'm tearing down the shelter, I'm ignoring every sign. I love the way you're speaking to this identity of mine. Yeah, my name sounds different tonight. It sounds different. Like rain on a tin roof, not a flood. Like a promise, not a threat. Say it again, just say it again. The screen door hinge was screaming, rust for 3 straight weeks. I mentioned it on Tuesday while you washed the grease off your cheeks. You nodded at the sink, said you get the toolbox out. Then Sunday came and went with the same metallic shout. I sat on the porch swing, watching the paint peel slow. A month ago I would have reminded you, just so you'd know. But the air felt different, heavier in my lungs. forgiveness on the tip of my tongue. So I let the silence do the heavy lifting for a change, even if the quiet feels a little heavy, a little strange. If the first words didn't land, the second one's a waste. I'm done chasing echoes all over this place. It's a brand new love, cold as ice. I love you enough to ask, but I stopped asking twice. It used to be always going to your mother's, or did you pay the light? I'd circle back around when you forgot, trying to be polite. I was a safety net, the calendar, the nagging voice of reason, carrying the mental load through every single season. I thought if I said it louder, or said it with a smile, you'd meet me in the middle, or at least walk a mile. But repetition is a prayer to a God that isn't there, and I'm tired of hearing my own voice vanish in the air. Now I let the silence do the heavy lifting for a change, watching you get comfortable while I get strange. If the invitation died, then let it rest in peace. I signed the paper on a brand new emotional lease. It's a hard line drawn, precise. I love myself enough to ask, but I stopped asking twice. The wedding invite sat on the counter, cream and gold. RSVP by Friday, or so the paper told. I asked you Monday morning if you wanted the chicken or the steak. You looked at your phone and said, give me a break. Friday noon rolled around, I licked the envelope alone, checked one guest attending, and turned off my phone. You came home looking for your suit at 5:30, surprised to see me leaving, asking for a ride. And there it was, the panic in your eyes when you realized the safety net had been cut down to size. You asked, why didn't you remind me? Why didn't you say? I pointed to the calendar, I pointed to the day. I'm not a broken record, skipping on a groove. I'm not the push behind you just to make you move. If it mattered to you, you would have heard it the first time. Now you're the victim of your own victimless crime. Now the hinge is still broken, but I hired a man named Ray. He fixed it in an hour and I went on with my day. You're asking where I'm going, asking where I've been, asking if we can start the conversation over again. But the rule is retroactive, it applies to second chances too. You want an explanation for the new point of view. I told you last October that I was fading fast. You didn't hear me then, so that warning was the last. Yeah, the silence is doing all the heavy lifting now, and you're finally wondering the who, the when, the how. If you miss the departure, you can't catch the train. I'm not standing on the platform painted it again. It's the law of the land, precise. I loved you once, I asked you once, but I stopped asking shows a map of every drought I ever walked through. Silver lines that trace where the worry used to live. I remember 22, thinking toughness was a fist, ready to punch back at the wind, refusing to forgive. But the oak tree in the yard taught me better in a gale. If you don't learn how to bend, you're guaranteed to fail. They expected iron cold and rusted in the rain, but I kept the velvet wrapped around the pain. I fought the wolf at the door with a lullaby song. Look at me now, still gentle, still strong. There were nights the ledger bled more red than I could staunch, and silence filled the hallway where his boots used to fall. I could have turned to granite, built a fortress in my chest, shut the windows to the neighbors, built a higher garden wall. But I poured the tea instead, and I kept the porch light on, refusing to let the darkness steal the coming of the dawn. Yeah, they bet on iron, thinking softness couldn't last, but I didn't let the bitterness calcify the past. I walked through the fire, but I didn't take it long. Here I stand, still gentle, still strong. Now the grandkids tug the apron that I stitched in '89. They don't know the cost of kindness in a cruel and heavy time. It takes a backbone made of steel to keep an open hand when the world is stealing everything that rests upon the land. It's easy to be angry, it's a coward's way to hate. It takes a warrior to love despite the weight. I could have sharpened all my words like arrows in a bow. I could have frozen over like the January snow. But what's the use of surviving if the best of you is dead? If you kill the flower just to save the garden bed. I know I kept the laugh lines deeper than the scars. I kept my eyes for tragic wreckage, look for intentional grace. I carried heavy burdens, but I set them down with care. I didn't let the gravity strip the softness from the air. I am not the iron that rusts within the rain. I am the blooming rose that survives the hurricane. I fought the whole damn world just to keep where I belong, and I won the war. Still gentle, still strong. Yeah, still gentle, still strong. I used to walk across the pine floors like a thief in my own hall, scared that breathing wrong would make the family pictures fall. You had a way of looking that could turn the summer cold, and I'd be folding laundry just to have something to hold. 10 years of silence bought with currency of blame, while I practiced shrinking down until I didn't have a name. But the well has gone bone dry inside the garden of my throat. I burned the white flag that I used to keep this house afloat. You're waiting for the tremor, for the breaking of my voice, but silence is a weapon when you make it become a choice. Check the pockets of my coat, check the corners of the year. There ain't no apologies left here. 3-day supper, you were ranting about the boss you hate so much, and I spilled the tea on the tablecloth, a nervous, clumsy touch. I saw you take that breath, the one that signals I should plead, to beg forgiveness for a stain that no one else would heed. But I just watched the embers spread and soak into the lace, and didn't offer up a single word to save your face. Yeah, the well has gone bone dry inside the garden of my throat. I burned the white flag that I used to keep this house afloat. You're waiting for the tremor, for the breaking of my voice, but silence is a weapon when you make it become a choice. Check the pockets of my coat, check the corners of the year. There ain't no apologies left here. Suitcase on the bed isn't packed with anger, just with clothes. It's funny how the heavy things are lighter than I supposed. You asked me if I'm sorry for the ruin of the plan. I said I'm only sorry that I tried to fix a broken man. The ledger is balanced now, the debt is finally paid. I'm walking out the doorway through the mess that we both made. I could say I'm sorry that the sunset makes you sad. I could say I'm The ghost of who I was doesn't haunt the atmosphere. I heard you found another girl to carry all your stone, to apologize for weather that she didn't even own. For me, I'm sleeping soundly with the windows wide and free, learning how to love the woman that you never let me be. 'Cause the well is overflowing with the water cool and sweet, and I'm standing tall and steady on my own 2 feet. You waited for the tremor, but you only got the steel. This freedom isn't borrowed, yeah, this freedom is real. Search the canyons of my heart, search the atmosphere. There ain't no apologies left here. Not a single one. No apologies, no apologies. The shelf is empty. Apologies left here. Just the dust where they used to be. I kept the heavy curtains drawn tight against the grate. Watched the calendar pages curl and turn to dust in the hallway tray. The frost settled hard on the windshield of my 2010 sedan. I was playing small, sticking to a safe and quiet plan. Saved my best wine for a dinner guest who never showed his face. Living life like I was running in second place. Just a shadow in the pantry, waiting for the light to bend. Wondering when the long, cold quiet would finally end. But the mercury is rising in the thermometer glass. I'm done watching the glory days walk on past. The dormant seed finally cracked the clay. I'm claiming the sun, I'm naming the day. No more hibernation, no more reasons. Look at the skyline, baby, this is my season. There's a yellow dress I bought back in June of 17, hung in the back of the closet like a ghost of a prom queen. Today I cut the tags off and I threw the receipt away. Put the key in the ignition and drove out to the bay. The mud on my boots has dried into holy ground. I stopped listening to the doubts, making that static sound. The fences I built to keep the disappointment out are coming down now, brick by brick, without a doubt. Yeah, the mercury is breaking through the thermometer glass. I'm catching the moments, moving too fast to pass. The dormant seed finally cracked the clay. I'm claiming the sun, I'm naming the day. No more hibernation, no more reasons. Check the horizon, baby, this is my season. My mother told me patience is a virtue you can hold, but she never said it gets heavy when you start getting old. So I'm cashing in the chips that I saved for a rainy night, buying a ticket to the coast on the very next flight. I'm not asking permission from the ghosts in the hall. I'm painting the living room a color that isn't neutral at all. The harvest is heavy and the barn door is wide. the dark, it was the flint striking steel to create the spark. I had to be quiet to hear my own heartbeat. Had to be cold to appreciate the heat. Now I'm dancing barefoot on the asphalt street. The winter can come back whenever it wants to try, but right now there's not a single cloud in my sky. Oh, the mercury shattered the thermometer glass. Gravel popping under tires that haven't been rotated in years. I recognize the rhythm of your approach before the engine clears. Used to be I'd have the kettle whistling before you hit the brake, running barefoot to the driveway for appearance sakes. I sit here on the swing, watching the dust settle down. Just another Tuesday afternoon in this quiet town. You step out looking specifically tailored to persuade, but the sunlight hits you different on the bed that you made. Don't mistake the lack of shouting for an open gate. I didn't trade my softness for a heart made out of slate. I'll still pour you water, I'll still wish you well, but I won't buy the ticket for another ride through hell. I ain't bitter, baby, I ain't turned into a miser. I'm exactly who I was, still kind, just wiser. Last time you stood on these planks, you wore a different face. Talked about a run of bad luck and needing just a little space. I gave you the guest room and the spare keys to my sedan. You gave me empty gas tanks and a sudden change of plans. I spent 3 seasons paying off the debt of your good time, while you were somewhere south of here forgetting every dime. is strictly visual, but the security system here is completely spiritual. So don't mistake the lack of shouting for an open gate. I didn't trade my softness for a heart made out of slate. I'll still pour you water, I'll still wish you well, but I won't buy the ticket for another ride through hell. I ain't bitter, baby, I ain't turned into a miser. I'm exactly who I was, still kind, just wiser. Now you're leaning on the railing with that crooked little grin, asking how I've been and if I might just let you in. You say you've changed your ways, you found a job, you found the light, but your shadow's looking heavy in the afternoon sunlight. It's a familiar script, I think I wrote the second page, but the director quit the production and the actor aged. I can hear the pleas waiting in the back of your throat, but I burned the life preserver when you sank the boat. It's a heavy thing to carry, always being the safety net when the acrobat doesn't care about the landing that he gets. I used to think that love meant fixing everything you broke, until I started choking on the secondhand smoke. Kindness isn't weakness, it's a choice that I defend, but I can be your neighbor without being your best friend. Yeah, I can wish you sunshine without letting in the rain. I can offer you a bandage, but I won't accept the pain. No, I won't accept the pain. Cut the motor off, I got a basket of apples here. Take them for your cough, that's as far as this thing goes. The kitchen's closed today, I love myself too much to let you take it all away. Watch you back out slowly, confused by my restraint. I didn't yell or scream or cuss or faint, just wave from the porch as you shifted into gear. The most peaceful goodbye I've had in 20 years. No, I didn't mistake the lack of shouting for an open gate. I kept all my softness, didn't turn to slate. I poured you the water, and I wished you well, watching you drive your own car through your own private hell. I ain't bitter, baby, I ain't turned into a miser. I'm exactly who I was, still kind, just wiser, just wiser. Scars are just maps now, just wiser, still kind, just wiser, just wiser, just wiser. Set the coffee on the coaster with a trembling hand, rehearsing the speech you thought I wouldn't understand. Watching the clock tick louder than your voice, waiting for me to scream or beg or make a choice. You laid the tissues out like a trap for a breakdown, thinking you'd be the villain of this quiet little town. But as you said the words were done and looked away, my chest felt lighter than it has since our wedding day. I didn't fake it, I didn't hide the pain, I didn't need an umbrella for a phantom rain. The tears you braced for touch the floor. I just found the handle of the front screen door. A strange kind of joy, full of terrifying truth. Like I just got back the better half of my youth. You watched me leave expecting a fight or a freeze, but I walked away smiling, listen to the breeze. I packed the sedan with 3 boxes and a coat. Left the heavy furniture and that passive-aggressive note. Noticed the dust on the hallway mirror looked like gold. Realizing the narrative you wrote was getting old. My keys made a jingle that sounded like a song, a melody of writing everything that felt wrong. You were standing in the frame waiting for the crash, but I was already counting up my freedom like cash. I didn't fake it, I didn't hide the pain. I didn't need an umbrella for a phantom rain. The tears you braced for never touched the floor. I just found the handle of the front screen door. A strange kind of joy, full of terrifying truth. Like I just got back the better half of my youth. You watched me leave expecting a fight or a freeze, but I walked away smiling, listen to the but right now the engine is humming so sweet, and there's a rhythm of pavement under these 4 tires. And see, I spent 10 years holding up a falling sky. Tonight I'm just watching the mile markers fly. Stopped at a diner 3 towns past the line. Waitress asked if I was okay, said I looked mighty fine. Ordered the pie I was always told not to eat. Tasted like victory, cherry red and sweet. Checked my phone, 20 texts asking, are you alive? Are you safe? Did you crash? Did you survive? I typed back a selfie with whipped cream on my lip. Caption read, best day ever, let the irony drip. The house we built is just lumber and stone behind me. A museum of a woman that I don't have to be. You're probably pacing, drinking whiskey in the dark, confused why your arrow didn't hit the mark. It's not that I didn't love you, it's not that I'm cold. It's just that silence is better than being controlled. The tragedy is scripted and missed the second act, and that's a cold, hard, beautiful fact. They say heartbreak is a heavy black coat that drags you underwater, makes it hard to float. But this feels like helium, this feels like flight. Cutting the anchor in the middle of the night. No looking back at the salt pillar of the past. No wondering how long the misery will last. Just the white lines painting the path to the new. And the rearview mirror getting smaller on you. Yeah, smaller on you. I didn't fake it, I didn't hide the pain. I didn't need an umbrella for a phantom rain. The tears you braced for never touched the floor. I just found the handle of the front screen door. A strange kind of joy, full of terrifying truth. Like I just got back the better half of my youth. You watched me leave expecting a fight or a freeze, but I walked away smiling. Yes, I walked away smiling, just smiling at the stars, smiling at the dark, smiling 'cause I'm finally out of the park. Keep the house, keep the doubt. I found the only way out, and I'm smiling. Just because I asked if you'd be home for the birthday cake. You looked at the calendar on the fridge like it was written in Greek. Like loving me is a 40-hour job, you gotta work every week. You said I need too much, that I'm heavy to hold. like my music loud and my Sunday soft and fine. It doesn't take a scientist to read the map of my scars. I'm happy with a porch light, I don't demand the stars. But you act like listening is a tax you have to pay, calculating the cost of every single word I say. You know I'm not a puzzle, missing pieces you can't find. I'm not a riddle meant to tangle up your mind. I don't need a mansion or a statue made of gold, just the truth in the morning and a promise that won't fold. If showing up for dinner feels like doing time for a crime, then baby I'm not hard to love, you just don't have the time. I watched my daddy love my mama without breaking a sweat. He never looked at her kindness like it was a dangerous debt. He knew that water in the garden isn't a chore if you like the bloom, but you walk around us like you're trapped in a waiting room. Checking your watch, tapping your foot on the floor, blaming the lock when you're the one closing the door. It's not high maintenance to wanna be seen, it's not complicated to want the slate to be clean. You call it pressure, I call it a pulse. You say I'm too much, but maybe you're just giving false hope to a woman who's easy to please if you just get off your pride and down on your knees. So I'm packing my difficult heart in a cardboard box, changing the combination on all of these mental locks. You can find someone hollow, someone who asks for nothing at all, who'll let you sit in the silence and never make you feel small. But when you're lonely and realize you got what you chose, you miss the hard work of smelling the rose. Yeah, I was never a puzzle, missing pieces you couldn't find. I was the clearest picture, but you chose